We are taught that tolerance is a virtue, that patience, kindness, and the ability to turn the other cheek are the hallmarks of a good person. We are told to be flexible, to be understanding, to be easygoing, but this advice is dangerously incomplete. What if this noble idea of tolerance, when misapplied, is not a virtue at all, but a slow-acting poison? What if it is simply self-abandonment disguised as kindness? We have come to mistake limitless patience for a moral high ground, but true compassion must, by definition, include compassion for oneself. Self-respect is not forged in the fire of how much you can endure. It is built, stone by stone, by defining what you will no longer endure at all. We tolerate the small insults, the minor betrayals, and the quiet erosions of our boundaries because we believe it is the right or easy thing to do. But this passive acceptance is a slow leak in the foundation of your character. The central thesis is this: your self-respect is directly proportional to the standards you uphold. It is a structure built not just on your positive actions, but on the boundaries you actively defend. The moment you tolerate something that you know, intuitively, violates your core, you send a message. The first message goes to the other person, teaching them how they are permitted to treat you. But the far more damaging message is the one you send to yourself, that your core values, your time, and your dignity are negotiable. Now, a part of you might resist this. It might say, but isn't this selfish? Isn't it unkind or impatient or judgmental? We have been conditioned to believe that setting a boundary is an act of aggression, and that articulating a need is an act of narcissism. This is a profound and crippling misunderstanding. This is not a philosophy of becoming cold, or uncaring, or unforgiving. It is about recognizing the critical difference between compassion and self-immolation. Compassion is understanding another's struggle. Self-immolation is setting yourself on fire to keep them warm. One is sustainable, the other is pure destruction. The things you tolerate are the lessons you teach the world about your worth, and the lessons you teach yourself about what you deserve. Today, we are not destroying tolerance, we are refining it. We are examining the 7 specific invitations to disrespect that you must begin to politely, firmly, and irrevocably decline if you wish to build a life on the solid ground of self-respect. The first thing you must stop tolerating is casual disrespect, especially when it is disguised as a joke. This is the subtle barb, the backhanded compliment, the roast that feels less like affection and more like an assertion of dominance. It's the comment about your new idea, your clothes, your choices, or your intelligence, followed immediately by the dismissal. I'm just kidding. Don't be so sensitive. Or, I'm just being honest. This behavior is a social trap. The person delivering this insult is engaging in a covert power play. They want to express aggression, judgment, or superiority, but they lack the courage to do so openly and own the statement. By framing it as a joke, they create a perfect cage. If you object, if you show that you are hurt or offended, you become the problem. You are the one without a sense of humor. You are the one making it weird. They get to land the blow and then claim plausible deniability, positioning themselves as the victim of your sensitivity. And why do we tolerate it? We tolerate it because we fear conflict more than we value our own dignity. We fear being seen as difficult or uptight. We would rather absorb the small, sharp poison of the insult than risk the momentary social discomfort of challenging it. And so we laugh along. We say, it's fine. And with that laugh, we signal that the boundary they just crossed is, in fact, not a boundary at all. The consequence of this tolerance is profound. On the surface, you are teaching them that they can insult you with impunity. You are validating their tactic, and they will use it again. But the deeper, more lasting damage is internal. Every time you laugh at a joke that stings, you are betraying yourself. You are telling your subconscious that your feelings do not matter, that being easygoing is more important than being respected. Self-respect cannot coexist with this kind of self-abandonment. Stopping this tolerance doesn't require a dramatic confrontation. It does not require you to raise your voice. It simply requires a calm, neutral response. A simple, "What do you mean by that?" Or, "Explain why that's funny." Or, "I don't appreciate jokes like that." You are not attacking, You are asking for clarity. You are holding up a mirror to their veiled contempt. Often, that simple, calm mirroring is all it takes for the behavior to stop. You are signaling that you are present, you are aware, and you are not a safe target. Second, you must stop tolerating the violation of your small boundaries. This is the person who is consistently 5 minutes late, and then 10, and then 20. This is the colleague who borrows a pen and never returns it, then asks for your notes, then asks you to cover a small part of their work. This is the friend who calls you at all hours, knowing you're trying to rest, just to chat. This is the family member who drops by unannounced. In isolation, these actions seem trivial. They are the paper cuts of human relationships. It feels petty to complain. It feels disproportionate to make a scene over 5 minutes, or a pen, or a single phone call. We tell ourselves it doesn't matter, that we should be flexible, that it's not a big deal. But people who chronically push small boundaries are often, consciously or unconsciously, testing the fences. They are seeing how much they can get away with. They operate on the principle of gradualism. If you do not enforce the small boundary, they correctly assume you will not enforce the large one. They are checking the locks on your doors, and when they find one unlocked, they will eventually try the next one. The psychology of why we tolerate it is rooted in our desire to be low maintenance. We want to be the cool, relaxed friend, partner, or colleague. We confuse being rigid with being respectable. The consequence is that small boundaries always become large ones. The 5 minutes of lateness becomes an hour. The borrowed pen becomes borrowed money. The late night call becomes a demand for emotional support at 3 a.m. The drop-by visit becomes an expectation that your home is their public space. You are teaching them that your time, your energy, your resources, and your word are not valuable. You are teaching them that your no doesn't really mean no. It just means convince me or push harder. The antidote is not anger, it is consistency. It is the calm, dispassionate reinforcement of your own standard. It is saying, I need to start the meeting at 10, so if you arrive at 10:15, we will have to reschedule. It is saying, I can't talk right now. I'm resting. It is locking the door. You are not being difficult. You are being clear. Self-respect is not built in grand, dramatic gestures. It is built in the mundane, daily, and often boring defense of your own time and energy. The third thing you must stop tolerating is the role of the emotional dumping ground. This describes the relationship that is fundamentally one-sided. This is the friend, partner, or family member who comes to you only when they have a problem. They hijack the conversation, filling every pocket of air with their own crises, their own dramas, their own anxieties, or even their own victories. They speak at you, not with you. You are a sounding board, a witness, a receptacle. You listen intently, you offer support, you give advice. After the conversation, they feel relieved, lighter. You feel drained, unseen, and oddly heavy. They rarely, if ever, ask, "And how are you?" And if they do, it is a polite, shallow formality, a breath they take before plunging back into their own monologue. You are not a person to them. You are a utility. You are a resource, a human diary, a receptacle for their emotional waste. They are not necessarily bad people. They are often just deeply self-absorbed. They have learned through your consistent reinforcement that you will reliably absorb their negativity without demanding anything in return. And why do we allow it? Because we have tragically confused being a good friend or being a good listener with being a passive, unpaid therapist. We have adopted the identity of the strong one, the helper, the empath. We derive a faint, secondary sense of purpose from being needed, even if it leaves us completely empty. We fear that if we stop playing this role, if we stop being so accommodating, we will have no role at all in that person's life. The consequence is inevitable burnout. You become an empty vessel. You begin to resent the very people you are helping, and then you feel guilty for that resentment. But more critically, you are teaching yourself day after day that your own emotional needs are secondary, that your purpose is to serve, not to participate, that your feelings are an inconvenience to be managed, while theirs are a crisis to be solved. To stop tolerating this, You must introduce friction. You must stop being so readily available. You must learn to use the powerful, boundary-setting phrases, "I only have 5 minutes to talk," or "I don't have the emotional capacity to discuss this right now," or even, "I feel like this conversation is very one-sided." The relationship may change. It may even end. But if a relationship only exists because you are willing to be invisible, it is not a relationship, it is a service agreement. Self-respect demands that you be an equal, visible participant in your own life. Fourth, you must stop tolerating chronic unreliability. This is the person who lives in a world of good intentions and perpetually poor execution. They say, "I'll be there. I'll get it done. You can count on me." And then, almost without fail, they are not there. They do not get it done. You cannot count on them. Their apologies are frequent, eloquent, and seemingly sincere, but their behavior is the only thing that is consistent. Their words are a currency they spend recklessly, with no goal of action to back them up. They are functionally dishonest, not because they lie with malice, but because they speak promises they have no intention or no capability of keeping. This person may be hopelessly disorganized. They may be a chronic people pleaser who cannot say no and therefore overcommits to everyone. Or, more cynically, they may simply not respect you, your time, or your plans enough to honor their word. They know on some level that you will absorb the cost of their failure. You will be the one to pick up the slack. You will be the one to make new plans. You will be the one who is inconvenienced, not them. We tolerate this because we want to believe them. We mistake their eloquent apologies for genuine remorse. We think that by giving them one more chance, we are being compassionate and understanding. We are attached to the potential of the person, not the reality of their character. We are in love with the person they claim to be, and we are ignoring the evidence of the person they are. The consequence is that your life becomes built on unstable ground. You cannot make plans, you cannot build trust, you cannot collaborate. You are constantly in a state of managing your own disappointment, living in a limbo of waiting to see if they will show up this time. When you tolerate broken promises, you devalue the very concept of a promise. You communicate to them and to yourself that words are meaningless. To stop tolerating this, you must pivot from listening to their words to observing their actions. This is the principle of trust, but verify. Or, more accurately, listen, but watch. You stop giving them opportunities to fail in high-stakes situations. You rely on them for nothing important. You create a structure in your life that does not depend on them for its stability. This is not punishment, it is wisdom. You are aligning your expectations with reality. Self-respect means protecting your life, your time, and your projects from the chaos of those who do not value their own word. The fifth thing you must stop tolerating is weaponized incompetence. This is the subtle and infuriating art of strategic failure. It is the partner who doesn't know how to load the dishwasher correctly, so the dishes come out dirty. It is the coworker who just isn't good with technology and therefore requires you to finish their part of the presentation. It is the person who, when tasked with something they simply do not want to do, does it so poorly, so slowly, or so incompletely that you are forced to step in and fix it. They often follow this performance with a smile, saying, "You're just so much better at it than I am." This is a highly effective, passive-aggressive form of manipulation. The person avoids responsibility by feigning inability. They are not incompetent, they are lazy, and they are disrespectful. They have learned that if they play the fool, someone, usually you will grow frustrated and take the burden from them. They have successfully trained you to do their work by leveraging your own standards and your own competence against you. And why do we tolerate it? Because in the short term, it is easier to just do it ourselves. It's faster. It's more efficient. It avoids the friction of teaching them. It avoids the conflict of holding them accountable. It avoids the frustration of watching them fail. We are addicted to efficiency, and they are addicted to comfort. And your addiction to efficiency will always enable their addiction to comfort. The consequence is that you become the default manager of everything. The mental load and the physical burden of shared responsibilities shift entirely to you. You are not a partner. You are a parent. You are not a colleague. You are a supervisor. Resentment builds, silently and corrosively. You are being punished for your own capability. To stop tolerating this, you must be willing to let them fail and to let them sit with the consequences of that failure. You must be willing to endure the short-term inconvenience to teach the long-term lesson of accountability. You must hand the task back. When they do it wrong, you must calmly say, "That's not finished. Please do it again, correctly." You must be willing to let the dishes sit in the sink. You must be willing to let their part of the presentation be mediocre. You must let them feel the full weight of their own manufactured incompetence. Self-respect demands that you are not a pack mule for those who simply refuse to carry their own share. The sixth, and perhaps the most crucial thing you must stop tolerating, is your own excuses. This is the internal betrayal. This is the voice that whispers, "I'll start tomorrow. I'm too tired. I'm not smart enough. It's not the right time. I don't know where to begin." This is the promise you make to yourself in a moment of clarity to wake up early, to exercise, to write the book, to make the difficult call, to finally clean the garage that you betray the next morning. This is the negotiation you have with your own potential, where you consistently and reliably choose the comfort of the status quo over the discomfort of growth. These excuses are a sophisticated defense mechanism. They are designed to protect you from the fear of failure. If you never truly try, you can never truly fail. They protect your ego. It is far less painful to say, "I didn't have time," than to say, "I tried my best and it wasn't good enough." We tolerate our own excuses because they are comfortable. They are the soft, warm blanket of mediocrity. They keep us safe in the hypothetical prison of what if, and prevent us from ever entering the terrifying, open field of I am. The consequence of this internal tolerance is the complete erosion of self-respect. This is the root of the problem. You cannot demand respect from others if you do not, fundamentally, respect yourself. And you cannot respect yourself if you consistently break promises to yourself. Every time you tolerate your own excuse, you break the integrity of your own word. You teach yourself, at the deepest level, that you cannot be trusted. Your confidence is not low because of what others think of you. It is low because you know intimately that you are not reliable. You are the one who lets yourself down. To stop this, you must become a person of action, however small. You must make a promise to yourself and keep it. Start laughably small. Wake up at the time you said you would. Do 5 minutes of exercise. Write one paragraph. Make the one call. This is not about massive transformation. It is about building integrity. It is about collecting evidence. You are proving to yourself, through a series of small, consistent victories, that when you say something, it means something. Self-respect is not a feeling you wait for. It is a reputation you build with yourself, one kept promise at a time. Finally, the seventh thing you must stop tolerating is the good enough life. This is the most silent, pervasive, and socially acceptable form of self-betrayal. It is tolerating the job you hate because it pays the bills and is secure. It is staying in the relationship that is not abusive, but is devoid of joy, connection, or growth, simply because it is familiar and comfortable. It is the quieting of your own intuition, that small, persistent voice inside that whispers, "You were made for more than this," and telling it to be quiet, to be practical, to be realistic, to be grateful. This is the tolerance of misalignment. We tolerate this deep misalignment because we are terrified of the unknown. The good enough is a known quantity. The great requires risk. It requires a leap. It requires trusting yourself above the opinions of the crowd. It requires the possibility of failure. We are conditioned by society to prioritize security over fulfillment. We are told to be grateful for what we have, and this gratitude becomes a golden cage. We confuse contentment with complacency. Contentment is finding joy and peace in the present moment, even as you are actively building and growing. Complacency is giving up on building and growing altogether because you are afraid of the work, the risk, or the judgment. The consequence is the most profound of all, a life half-lived. It is a dull, chronic ache of regret that grows louder as the years pass. It is the hollow feeling of success in a field you do not care about. It is the realization, too late, that you played it safe with your one and only life. You tolerated a life that did not fit you because you were afraid to tailor one that did. The cost of good enough is the death of the extraordinary. Stopping this tolerance is the hardest act of all. It does not mean quitting your job tomorrow or leaving your partner tonight. It means, first, to stop lying to yourself. It means to admit, in the sacred quiet of your own mind, this is not aligned with me. It means to acknowledge the truth without judgment. And then it means taking one small, intentional, terrifying step toward alignment. To read the book, to take the class, to have the hard conversation, to save the first dollar for your escape plan. It is the slow, deliberate, and courageous process of choosing yourself over and over again until your external reality begins to match your internal truth. These 7 things, the casual insult, the broken boundaries, the emotional dumping, the chronic unreliability, the weaponized incompetence, your own excuses, and the misaligned life, are not 7 separate issues. They are all symptoms of one root cause, a willingness to negotiate your own worth. You have been taught that tolerance is a passive act, a simple acceptance of what is. This is untrue. Tolerance is an active choice. It is a decision. With every act of misplaced tolerance, you are actively choosing the comfort of the moment over your long-term respect. You are choosing the perceived approval of others over your own integrity. To build self-respect, therefore, is not to add something new to yourself. It is an act of subtraction. It is the courageous removal of that which is false, that which is misaligned, that which drains you. It is the decision to no longer be a participant in your own disrespect. The world will constantly test your resolve. It will offer you 1,000 small compromises, 1,000 good enough reasons to stay quiet. The path to self-respect is found in the quiet, daily refusal of those compromises. It is the practice of becoming non-negotiable on the things that truly matter. So, look at your life, right now, with clarity. What small, uncomfortable truth have you been tolerating? And what is the one thing you will do about it, now that you see it?